To have you back. Now, government has extended the country's state of disaster by another month, and non-profit citizen platform DASA disagrees with this decision. It says the COVID-19 pandemic no longer exists and health measures are no longer required. Campaign managing director, that's Rob Hutchinson, joins me now to help give us a better understanding of their view. Rob, great to have you. Thank you so much for your time this morning. Surely you're not too pleased that the national state of disaster has in fact been extended to the 15th of April?
No, definitely not. Definitely not. It's a completely unnecessary and irrational decision that really does make no sense in any way whatsoever. I think most of the country was expecting it to be put aside and enjoying our freedoms back again and life back to normal as it was almost 2 years ago. But yeah, sadly, we are in this position where it's locked down again, and no sign of it actually being withdrawn at any stage in the near future.
Yeah, and just bring some clarity to this. You're of the view that the pandemic no longer exists. For some South Africans who may feel that they're still feeling, the ramifications of, the COVID-19 pandemic, some may disagree, some may be a bit confused by what you mean. What do you mean when you say this pandemic no longer exists?
Well, if you look at global statistics and every other country around the world, the pandemic has moved into an endemic stage, which definitely, and that's scientifically proven now as well, and agreed to by government scientific advisors, that there is no longer a pandemic as such. The death rate has dropped considerably. Cases have also dropped, and it seems to be a lot less severe and totally under control as well, all over the globe, and in South Africa too. There hasn't been any deaths in the past couple of days or a week or so, which is a great sign that the pandemic, as pandemics are classified as pandemics, has definitely subsided and disappeared. It definitely is under control by all scientific measures.
And you're not the only ones who share these views. 270,000 plus comments that you have received via your petition. What are South Africans saying about this? And I'm sure this is part of the reason why you did launch that legal bid against government.
Absolutely, absolutely. South Africans are absolutely tired of these restrictive regulations that are in place, and also questioning as to why the regulations are still in place and why government is clinging on to these restrictive powers. Most of the people, most of the 270,000 who have participated so far have expressed that exact view. And the call from the public is to end it now and hopefully get life back to normal. Well, maybe not normal, but as normal as we can be in the recovery process. People want to reignite our economy. They want to address unemployment, and we can't do that while we are still under a state of disaster, which contains the regulations that are very restrictive.
Yeah. So where does that leave your court bid? Because the national state of disaster has been extended to the 15th of April, despite, of course, you joining forces with AfriForum to try and stop it stopping for the eNCC from doing so. So where does that leave your court bid at this stage?
We're going ahead with the court case. We made a decision already that even if the government does remove the state of disaster, we will still go ahead with the court case to try and set a precedent that states that the government cannot just simply reinstate a state of disaster without parliamentary oversight and without proper public consultation or consultation with experts. We saw that right at the beginning. The state of disaster was introduced under the Disaster Management Act without any real justification. There was, I think, one case before they introduced it, and that really didn't justify the introduction of a state of disaster. It's supposed to be introduced when a disaster has occurred. This was sort of a preemptive measure, and maybe justified at the time. But as the data became more clear, it really seemed to be a rather rational or irrational decision made by government. And then, of course, it put all the power under one minister who could set regulations as she wishes. And some would say, unconstitutional body, the eNCC, which was also making decisions without any proper public consultation or parliamentary oversight. It was basically a removal of democracy as we have become accustomed to democracy. So the court case hopes to reinstate that democratic process. And should anything happen, should the pandemic as such flare up again, the minister can reinstate it, however, with proper public consultation and parliamentary oversight.
All right, well, we'll leave it there, Rob, and I appreciate you speaking to us this very morning. Rob Hutchinson from DSA, of course, speaking to us about, of course, their dissatisfaction with the the national state of disaster being extended to the 15th of April. And, of course, Gareth, they're saying because, in their view, and scientifically proven so, the pandemic has now moved to more of an endemic, and the pandemic is over due to the numbers that we're seeing.
Yeah, and this was when I raised it outside when we were opening the show, the health department saying there's concerns about this potential fifth wave. But the critics are coming back, and there may be a point to this as well, that what you've got is a health system that has now had 2 years, close on 2 years, to get the health system up and running properly. If you haven't gotten it right in 2 years, what else could you possibly need to do as a health department that could handle a fifth wave if it were to happen? And that's where a lot of the criticism is coming from. Remember, that's why the lockdowns were there originally, is to get the health system up and running. 2 years later, there's still concerns that it might not be ready. You've got to start asking, what is it going to take?
But to your point as well, we had a conversation with Professor Glenda Gray, and she conceded that as a health department, they could have done more. There's still more to be done. The inequalities in a health department, particularly in the country, were so exorbitant during this pandemic that there's so much more work that still needs to be done. So.
Yeah, there is, and there's a lot of questions to be asked on that. Now.